Welcome, my friends, welcome. This is my brand new podcast, Cake Over Keto. I'm Mel Wakeman, registered nutritionist, intuitive eating practitioner, and non-diet counsellor, also lover of cakes. I specialise in disordered eating, eating disorders, chronic dieting, weight and body image concerns, all through a weight-inclusive, health at every size lens. Cake Over Keto is going to be a fortnightly slice of food and body truth with dollops of compassion and sprinkles of salvation. I am standing in your corner. I will call out the diet industry bullshit, but I'm also providing a gentle healing space for those on their way to food and body freedom. There will be no food shaming or nutribolics. There will be no keto recipes. There will be no body shaming. And at the end, I'll dip into my pick and mix, which could be anything from a non-diet shout out, thank you, book or film recommendation, or me calling out a bullshitter. So get yourself a cuppa, a decent Dunkin' biscuit, and come join me for 20-ish minutes of no nonsense. If you'd like to get in touch, please do. I'd love to hear from you. You can find me on Instagram at Mel_Wakeman_ RNUTR, that's the registered nutritionist bit. You can also find me hanging out on Patreon. I have a food freedom community. Just look under at Mel Wakeman, or you can email me at mel@wakemannutrition.com. So let's get on. In this episode, I'm going to give you the lowdown on what non-diet work and intuitive eating is and isn't. I mean, isn't it just an excuse to eat everything? And I'll bust some diet industry secrets along the way, because it can get bloody confusing out there, particularly because the diet industry knows they have been busted, and they know we know that they know this. That's our body's response to dieting is actually weight gain. Because intentional weight loss efforts are basically starvation, which doesn't happen to be very conducive with survival. This is why it can be so hard to maintain weight loss, despite what we are told on a daily basis. And in fact, weight science tells us that 95 to 98% of people will regain the weight they lost and more within 3 to 5 years. But the diet industry will never tell you this. I mean, why would they? They have the perfect business model that feeds itself. You start a diet, you fail, you go back and try again. Ka-ching, you get it? So what they've done now is disguise diets a bit like a wolf in sheep's clothing. So diets are now wellness plans, and it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. They co-opt non-diet language like intuitive eating, listen to your body, and food freedom, but attach weight loss onto it. They try and reassure us with psychological principles of behavior change. It all sounds very smart and clever, but it doesn't mean anything if they then ask you to weigh yourself every day, track your food, and avoid carbs like the plague. Because these are the very things that are highly likely to screw with your head and put you on a path to an eating disorder. So here's the thing. Any program, product, TV doctor, hi Michael Mosley, or stop dieting advert that promotes weight loss, yeah, that's you, Noom. It's a diet. End of. Full stop. Nothing more. And no matter how safe they tell you it is, and that you'll live a life of eternal happiness, I want you to ask yourself, what would be the cost for you to do that? Oh, and when they say lasting results, please know that they exclude anyone who drops out of their studies and programs, and they don't monitor them after 2 years, so no one really knows what happens to them. Yeah, you need to know that. And in terms of coming back to cost, I don't mean just in terms of monetary cost, what comes out of your pocket, but the cost to your health, your emotional, your psychological, your mental and your physical health. And don't forget to ask what's in it for them. Why are they doing it? Because I can pretty much guarantee your best interests are not theirs. So what if I told you that weight is not the biggest determinant of our health? That weight loss is not the be all and end all, even for fatter people. Oh, and by the way, fat's not a bad word. That's going to be a conversation for another day. Did you know that calorie restriction is more likely to result in weight fluctuation? This is also known as weight cycling or yo-yo dieting. And it's that increases your risk of what we call cardiometabolic diseases. So things like type 2 diabetes and heart disease. It also causes chronic inflammation, and it absolutely messes with your head. I'm speaking from experience here. So what if I told you that the gold standard evidence concludes that trying to lose weight is likely to do more harm than good? It can't be recommended as a safe and effective treatment, but we go and see our GP, and what's the first thing they suggest we do? And that's quite aside from how the get thin message leads to prejudice, discrimination and shame, neither which improves our health. Do you want to know what's more dangerous to our health than fatness and weight? It's weight stigma. It is absolutely rife in our society. And it's where discriminatory acts and ideologies are targeted towards folk in bigger bodies because of their weight and size. Weight stigma is what needs to be tackled, not the targets of weight stigma. So I'm here to say to you, take up as much space as you want in this world. You do not need to shrink yourself to belong. And you might be thinking as you sip your brew, yep, I get this. I am never dieting again. You might also be thinking, oh my God, I did not realize this. Or you might be thinking, I can't take my life being ruled by food anymore, but it feels impossible to break away from this. Whichever camp you're in, you're welcome here. I'm on your side. So let's move to the main piece of cake and tuck in. In some respects, not dieting can sound really simple. Like you just wake up one morning and go, right, that's it. I'm not going back to Slimming World for the 15th time. I'm not going to look at food labels for calories or carbs or fat grams. I'm just going to focus on my health rather than my weight. Now, these are all helpful steps and ones that are very much part of the journey of moving away from dieting. But what often comes up when we consider taking the bull by the horns is fear. Fear, I won't be able to stop eating. Fear of gaining weight. Fear of health problems we are repeatedly told are inevitable in a bigger body. Which ultimately means we don't feel safe in our body. When this happens, we create eating rules to help us feel more in control and safer. Yes, that can look like attending slimming classes, signing up to a program, regular weighing, but it can also look like a substantial collection of low-calorie cookbooks, feeling the need to healthify recipes, or tracking your exercise and food on MyFitnessPal. Now, you might be listening to this thinking, yeah, but I haven't done a diet for ages. But are you perhaps still holding on to certain beliefs about food and your body without realizing it in your subconscious? Which is not an easy question to answer when it's not consciously there. But what I'm saying is you don't have to be on a diet to be dieting. It's what's called the diet mentality. It's what makes not dieting harder than we might anticipate. Now, I get this desire for control feels important. You create boundaries to keep yourself on track. And I'm just weight and food conscious for my health. That must be good, right? Lingers on. Well, maybe that's okay. But when those rules and beliefs and all the mental gymnastics that go with them cost you your health, it's time to think. When you decide to stop the rules and really explore your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors around food, the fear emerges at the prospect of letting go of those boundaries. So we need to delve into this fear, to slow down, and explore the beliefs that sit behind it, to name your feelings, emotions, and sensations in your body. Things that I do in this work that I'll come back to in later episodes. Perhaps you're listening and wondering if I even have an unhealthy relationship with food. Well, take note of this list. Are you restricting food to lose weight? Cutting out food groups in the name of health, not medical necessity? Ignoring your own hunger to control your body? Believing there is only one weight your body can be healthy at? Or only one weight you will be happy at? Feeling a failure if you can't get to that weight? Feeling you have to compensate for the food you've eaten through exercise? Or feeling like your success as a human being is dependent on your weight? If you say yes to any of these, your relationship with food, exercise, or your body has some unhealthy aspects to it. So what's the alternative to having these rules? What are we going to do when we let go of them? You know, the ones that tell you what to eat, how much, and when. Well, check this out. Your body can already adjust and regulate your appetite according to your needs. I know it sounds crazy, and who'd have thought we could be that smart, but it's the truth. The human body has been successfully keeping us alive for thousands of years. All we need to do is use our bodily sensations of hunger, physical hunger, cravings, fullness, and satisfaction to determine what we eat. It's part of the practice that's called intuitive eating. But it isn't that easy, because if you've been restricting even lightly for some time, or you've never let yourself get hungry, you may have no idea what hunger actually feels like. Maybe that, I'm starving, I need food now kind of hunger, but not the subtle kinds. Perhaps you get a kick out of feeling hungry and not responding to it. I know I did, because there was a message in there that said that's a good thing to do. Perhaps you have no idea what comfortable fullness feels like as opposed to being overly full. How would it feel knowing what foods fill you up and satisfy you and help you feel good inside so that you're calm and confident with your eating? Non-diet work that includes intuitive eating can be liberating as your body takes advantage of the new freedom you've given it. You may discover how much your body has been starved, and you may feel uneasy with those feelings of wanting more to eat. Now, one of the principles of intuitive eating is giving yourself unconditional permission to eat. And if you're not really familiar with what's involved with intuitive eating, people can often assume it's just an excuse to eat whatever you want and not give a crap. So people think that not dieting and intuitive eating is unhealthy and lazy, which couldn't be further from the truth. Now, I know it can look like that, but when we think about how normalized restricted and disordered eating is in our society, it's bound to hit buttons. But non-diet work is so much more nuanced than the black and white approach that dieting brings. At its heart, it's absolutely about body respect and self-care. So if we give ourselves permission to eat food, what we're asking is that we invite all foods to sit on a level playing field. There is no good food or bad food, no clean versus junk or crap. It's just food. There is no judgment or hierarchy. So let me let you into a little secret. Food holds no power over you if you don't give it any. And when we take our foods off the pedestals and the steps, the foods you're used to say were not allowed become less interesting. You don't want them as much. They become no big deal. You gain a natural desire for a wider range of foods. We see this in the research. And most importantly, you develop faith in and trust with your body that it knows what to do. It really does if you let it, without guilt and anxiety. And when you've restricted in the past, you may well remember that telling yourself you can't have something triggers this strong desire to eat exactly what it is you're saying you're not allowed. It's true, the body wants what it can't have. So that's where foods and, food thoughts become all-consuming. And it comes at when will you give in test rather than if you will give in. That's what diets bring us. Up pops your indignant self-saboteur head, and before you know it, you're binging, which leads to feeling shit about yourself. So you go back to restricting, which is the restrict, rebel, repent cycle. And it can feel as if you're literally stuck on a roundabout, unable to get off. And it can feel really difficult, if not impossible, to stop this cycle. And this is where non-diet work can be so helpful, helping you to become more attuned to your body's needs, understanding the drivers and emotions that sit behind your eating behaviours. Because let's face it, if all we need to do was say, don't eat that, eat this, we would have done it, wouldn't we? Attuned eating reduces weight cycling, which means your body will find its natural weight set point, also another conversation for another day, and be able to stay there with relative ease, so you're not fighting your body. Anxiety and guilt around food is reduced, as are body image concerns and disordered eating. Take it from me, as someone who's had a pretty funky relationship with food, diets give a completely false sense of security. For me, there was no balance. I was all in or all out. I was on the wagon, or I was off it, left behind in a haze of dust. So if you're new to non-diet work, you're allowed to burn that bloody wagon. You don't need it. I'm not saying it's a piece of cake, but it's 100% worth it, discovering a wonderful life out there that isn't smothered by negative thoughts and food. And that's my aim with this podcast, to help you find that. Okay, so we're coming to the end, which means we get to open the pick and mix. So I might get a bit ranty, I might tell a funny story, but this week I want to share something kind of magic I came across earlier this year. I have in front of me a beautiful set of body confidence cards created by a wonderful lady called Denise Sanderson. It is literally body confidence in a box. So I've got 52 cards in my hands, and there are quote cards, action cards, alphabet and monthly cards. And they are designed to prompt a positive self-reflection and or help you start a conversation with others wanting or needing to boost their self-esteem. So there's instructions in here that kind of help you, whether you're using it for yourself or for groups, and you can kind of pop one in your pocket and, have it as an impromptu reminder when you open up your purse or something like that. So I've just got one in front of me here. You owe yourself the love that you so freely give to other people. It's kind of nice, isn't it? We've got, let's find a month one. So here we are in April. The name of this month is believed to stem from the verb to open. This month, your challenge is to open up about your body confidence issues. Scary, I know. Meditate or keep a journal to open up to yourself, or share how you feel with a confidant. You may even help someone else open up to you. But there's loads of little strategies and tips and reminders that say to us that, we are enough. We always have been and always will be. I think that's a lovely thing. So you can find Denise. You can find her on Instagram at bodyconfidencecards_DB, or you can go to her website, www.bodyconfidencecards.com, and she's got a little Etsy site. So yeah, go and have a look. So that's it from me. Thanks so much for joining me. If you like what you've heard, please do subscribe so you don't miss what's coming up. And if you'd like to carry on the conversation, you can email me at mel@wakewomannutrition.com. Come and find me on Instagram, Patreon. I'm also on LinkedIn as Mel Wakeman. So that's it. I will see you next time. Take care of yourselves. Bye.
This has been a Monkey Pants Productions podcast.